Good morning. It's October 2nd, the beginning of a new month and the beginning of a new initiation. I'm super excited about today's talk because there are some pretty big movements happening this week and this month. And I feel it's the beginning of something I've called the new paradigm of relationship. And that's very exciting. The theme for the month of October is a new paradigm of relationship emerges as we take radical responsibility. And I remember when I was sitting in my office last December and I was channeling these messages and I was like, yeah, radical responsibility. That sounds good. And I've already been initiated into what that actually looks like, and it's beautiful and interesting and humbling and all the things. There are a few other pieces that I want to lead out with. First of all, each month we get to look at our lives through a very specific lens. And the lens in which we are looking at life through this month of Libra season is the lens of relationships. So that means while the moon moves through the temple of Aries, the temple of Taurus, the temple of Gemini, which right now it's in Taurus, while the moon moves through these places, we get to look at, so how is my relationship with myself when I'm in relationship with someone else? How is my relationship with my resources and my needs in Taurus when I'm in relationship with someone else? How is my relationship with my opinions and my preferences when I'm in relationship with someone else, etc.? So this is a week where we get to explore our relationship with our needs and resources, starting on Sunday with Taurus. So anyone who's, late 30s, early 40s, you have a Chiron in Taurus, so you're going to be also feeling any kind of wounds you have around your needs and resources with yourself in Taurus while in relationship. And we have funny little ways to work around these wounds when we're in relationship. When we're with ourselves, yeah, I mean, for most of us, we are the safest person we could be in relationship with. That's not true for everybody, but for most of us, we feel like, okay, well, at least I love myself. At least I've got my own back. At least, I don't know, maybe this is just for the ultra dependent people. But when we enter into the realm of relationship and radical responsibility, suddenly weird little coping mechanisms and relationship patterns could surface that protected us from feeling the depth of our wounds. And the radical responsibility comes in when we own that, we own our own emotional responses, our own intellectual responses, our own coping mechanisms within the face of relationship with another who might also be experiencing their own reactions to our reactions. So last week we talked all about the soup and how when we bring the soup to the table, we're going to just see who likes it, who doesn't, whose soups do we like. Now this week we're recognizing the internal patterns we have related to how we interface with relationships and our soups. I hope that all makes sense, but it's mostly about having our personal boundaries within the relationship, our personal boundaries with ourselves while we step into the realm of relationship. And so we had that nice big full moon in Aries on Friday. That was the kickoff for this this new relationship paradigm, radical responsibility thing. And then if we look at the initiation, I'm just going to talk about the Two of Air for a moment. If we look at the Two of Air or the Two of Swords, it's all about making some decisions. All of the energy for Libra season is going to be about the way that the mind cuts through what's actually happening. So how do we see actually what's happening here when our mind has a very nuanced relationship with the world, right? Like the mind is a tricky space. we often believe our beliefs. We often do not challenge our beliefs, and we've learned to trust our beliefs. We always prove what we believe to ourselves. So when we enter into a space of relationship, this could create I'm right, you're wrong kind of scenarios. It can create spaces where the most important ingredient is going to be curiosity, because if we don't bring curiosity, we can bring adversary. And we're in a cardinal air, so it's an initiating air. It's swords, so it's cutting through kinds of questions, cutting through kinds of relationship patterns now. And with the two of air, the two of swords, it's time for us to make some decisions. And deciding literally cuts things in two. It cuts things open. So this cutting open energy this week is actually preparing us for something that's coming next week, which is the three of swords. And traditionally, the three of swords can make us feel a little vulnerable. It can reveal misconceptions, misunderstandings, things that we've thought about that have perpetually wounded us. And we're meant to actually investigate that with curiosity so that we can relieve ourselves from the painful ideas that have separated ourselves from others, and separated ourselves from the truth, which is usually the truth is deeply cathartic, beautiful, loving, connected. There is no separation. But there are a lot of misconceptions about the truth that can be revealed in the next couple of weeks. So let's see. I'm looking at the initiation, just seeing if there's anything I need to reiterate. Yeah. This week, close your eyes and really get clear on where you have boundaries for yourself. Do you honor your own boundaries? Do you even know what your boundaries are? Trust is a theme that shows up in all of our relationships and deeply within our own body. When we are really listening to our spirit, our mind, emotions, and body, that's when we trust ourselves. So it's talking about trusting not just the beliefs, but also the soul, the emotions, and the physical sensations. The actions we take now are setting the foundation for the next leg of the journey. As we all know, actions taken against our own integrity can have far-reaching consequences. Get clear on what that integrity is now and act accordingly. It is likely to be a bit of a dance, the greatest being the dance between the heart and the mind. So if this is the week of being in integrity, the integrity is going to be the dance between owning our own relationship with ourselves and bringing the truth of that into our relationships. Yeah, I'm just going to go into the week by week. There was something else. No, I think I've covered my notes. All right. So on Sunday, while the moon is in Taurus, especially if you were born between 1977 and 1984 abouts, you were having conversations in your relationships about your resources. Now, if you're older than that, that might have flared up around the full moon. If you are younger than that, you have the rest of this week to explore that within relationships. So kind of knowing where your Chiron is and understanding that that personal wound has the potential to be pressed on this week while we move through relationship, that's going to prepare you to be in your integrity and to open up your curiosity as you navigate. When I say that, I guess the thing I'm not saying is this week we might find ourselves blaming someone else for the pain that we feel. And if we're really grounded and curious, we might actually find out that it was our side of the street that caused the entire flare up in the first place, that we carried an uncomfortable something maybe that was unconsciously out of integrity into the conversation to begin with. And that's what triggered the entire disruption. And so there's a lot of accountability available this week. Anyways, obviously I had an interesting weekend, right? So Sunday, we are the bridge between the ideal and the real. That's the words. Mercury is opposite Neptune. We are seeing that there's what's actually happening. We are seeing that there's an ideal that we would like to be experiencing even more of. These could be the same things. If that's true, congratulations. And we are the bridge between what is actually happening and what we would love to be happening or experiencing more of. And that literally could just be greater acceptance of what is actually happening. That could actually be relaxation in our nervous system in the face of what is actually happening vulnerably in our relationships. It's not that we put a lens on that means we want to change what's actually happening or we don't want to accept what's actually happening. It's just that sometimes there can be an upset in the bridge between something we hold as ideal and something that we hold that's real. I hope that makes sense. On Monday, the moon is still in Taurus and it's trine Venus. There's a gentleness to Monday, and there's a more introspective and intuitive space that we can come to on Monday. And it's just owning, what is my part in all of this? What is my part in making the ideal real? This is where we come into some integrity. And it's highly important that we take some time on Monday to do so, because Tuesday, Black Moon Lilith will move from Leo, where it's been for the last 9 months, into Virgo. And when Black Moon Lilith is in Virgo, she is going to flare up all of our fears, all of our shame, all of our insecurities, all of our repression, shame, etc., around what it looks like to be in our integrity, to be clear on our side of the street. So there is a sense of anticipation that we could be feeling on Monday, where we want to just say, okay, I have a responsibility in all of this. I have a part in this. Can I really look at my side of the street and allow myself to face any of my resistance to what my responsibility is, and then allow that to surface without fear, shame, repression, etc. So the words I have for Tuesday are: a higher soul calling is asking for new healing. A higher soul calling is asking for new healing. And I say higher because we could experience something coming up from below. This could also come in the form of health flare-ups. We could be navigating our relationship with physical habits, physical truths about. This is a time when you might discover you have a parasite. This is a time when you might discover that your intake of gluten is actually creating a lot of inflammation. This is a time when you might discover that the reason we're tired all the time is because we drink coffee on an empty stomach instead of a big glass of water, and our adrenals are fatigued. So there could also be some interesting things from below, from the body, from the earth, that flare up. And what I'm calling forward on Tuesday is to remember that there's a higher soul calling that would love to support us in bringing all of this into right relationship. And the moon will be in Gemini this day. So it's also a day where we can educate ourselves, be open to learning, if we suspect that maybe we have a parasite, maybe we go to the internet and we discover, well, what does this feel like? What are the symptoms? It's not a time to get all WebMD on yourself. But if you have some physical thing that's going on, this is a really good time to start investigating it, investigating solutions for it, so that you can actually bring it to the surface for yourself. You're not going to suppress it. You're not going to ignore it. You're actually going to bring about whatever solutions for healing will bring yourself into better integrity with all of this. So Mercury will also be in a trine to Pluto. Mars will also be in a conjunction with the North Node. Tuesday is a big day. If we just had Black Moon Lilith alone moving into Virgo, that would be enough. But you put Mars in a conjunction with the North Node, or I'm sorry, the South Node. Mars is in a conjunction with the South Node, opposite the North Node. So what we know is the South Node is what we are releasing, letting go of, diminishing, reducing, okay? Mars in Libra, crossing the South Node, is going to give us the extra juice to release behavior patterns when it comes to relationships or Libra-like things. When we go into our talk, I'm going to discuss where each of us is releasing in Libra and where we're coming into stronger behavioral patterns that release this old relationship role with ourselves, with the other, etc., so that we can be in higher integrity. So we might find a big line in the sand on Tuesday that feels very supportive, that will say, I'm no longer doing this. That's also in our minds, that's also Mercury trine Pluto. It's all designed to help us get leverage on ourselves to make a big change. So then on the 4th, the moon will still be in Gemini. We're kind of going to be continuing the energy of Tuesday. It's like a 2-part day. The ripening of all of the things I just shared with you will still be very ripe on Wednesday. And the words I have here are, can we get even more real with ourselves? Can we get even more real with ourselves? I think that's a response to some of the shifts that we experience on Tuesday. Know that we are navigating our opinions and ideas, our personal opinions, preferences, and ideas in the space of relationship. So what that could look like is, this is what I think I need. This is what I think I need to do. And we might be curiously open to what some other person thinks that we should do, or has an opinion that they think that we should receive. So there could be a lot of talking back and forth. There could be a lot of interesting communication patterns that happen on Tuesday and Wednesday. And knowing the core of this is, my opinions and beliefs might be open to changing. I'm not sure. I'm coming into better relationship with myself. I'm entering the temple of relationship. I'm going to hear what you have to say. I'm not going to take what you have to say as ultimate truth. I'm going to also combine that with what I know. It's a time for growth. And growth always allows and requires for something that we used to be right about to suddenly be a little less right, so that we could actually grow an even more rightness, even though there's never an ultimate right? I hope you're following that too. That's what basically Gemini energy does, is it helps us to understand even more, to grow a concept and to make it more accurate. So know that might be in the space of relationships, and be open to hearing the ideas and cross-pollinating them with your own. Then on Thursday, the 5th, Mercury will move into Libra and the moon will be in Cancer. I call this an emotional new approach. With Mercury in Libra, Mercury's finally out of Virgo. Mercury said, all right, I sort of know exactly what I think is right for me, what makes me feel complete and whole. Because of the conversations I had yesterday, I am now open and curious to learning more about what people in my relationship think. So it brings like a harmony, it brings an openness, it brings a balance to some of those thoughts. If there was any conflict at all on Wednesday, we might find a lot of resolution on Thursday. And also know that that resolution might come because everyone's hearts suddenly soften. People move from the mind to the heart with the moon in Cancer. And now for the next 3 days, we're navigating our emotional safety and feelings when we're vulnerable in relationships. If you know that every time the moon's in Cancer, you behave or feel a certain way with yourself, just know that that's going to now be thrown into the arena of relationship even more. So, do you close off when you feel vulnerable? Do you isolate yourself? Do you appreciate being held by someone? Do you need to hold yourself more fully? The last 3 days of this week are going to emphasize whatever our relationship patterns are when we need emotional safety or when we feel emotionally vulnerable. So, Thursday is we have an emotional new approach. Friday, our vulnerability is our medicine. The moon will be in Cancer, and Black Moon Lilith is coming into an opposition with Saturn. So the reason why I feel the words our vulnerability is our medicine is because when we're reshaping a new paradigm of relationship, acknowledging, accepting, and sharing what we vulnerably feel will actually help us feel more connected to the people that are safe emotionally. If we have identified there are people in our lives that we feel safe with emotionally, sharing our deepest vulnerability with them could actually be the medicine that creates deeper connection, that creates a stronger bond in the heart when the moon moves into Leo, which it will do on Saturday. On Saturday, the words are, our medicine makes us unique and important. I almost couldn't read my writing. Our medicine makes us unique and important. So whatever medicine we discover on Friday, there's an acceptance and acknowledgement of, wow, you know what? My unique vulnerability that connects me to the other actually makes me very unique and very important to the people I'm in relationship to. I'm bringing a special layer of medicine that only I carry. And I think that there's a few other elements here. Mars is going to square Pluto today. Now, on Tuesday, we decided with Mars that we were going to release and let some old behavior patterns go in our relationships. We decide to reduce this role we played in relationships. Now on Saturday, we have an opportunity to do that even more so. With Mars squaring Pluto, I think that it's going to bring an opportunity to really commit to an end of some old Capricornian, Libran, like I'm no longer going to be a people pleaser. I'm no longer going to stand alone in my tower, all like proud. I'm no longer going to withhold my medicine or my vulnerability in relationships. And this is going to be offering and opening an opportunity for deeper commitment in the heart. While the moon moves through Leo over the weekend, we are going to be navigating the space of the heart in relationships. Now, we came into a really strong space of self-love over the summer. We really navigated all of our passions for our life and what we're committed to on a soul level. And, it was all personal relationship with self all summer. Now we may find ourselves taking that commitment with ourselves and bringing it into the space of relationships. And we're going to have Venus moving into Virgo on Sunday. The Pluto is going to move direct the following week as well. Mars is going to move into, so the week after this week is really going to take all the momentum we set at the foundational level of our relationships and take it to the next level. And so this is kind of a personal relationship with self coming into relationship with the other. It's like an integration week. And next week, it's like, all right, I'm committed. I'm ready. Let's move forward and face whatever wounding I've hidden from myself around what real relationship could be like for me. Again, I want to go back to the very first words for we are the bridge between the ideal and the real. This week, we're coming into integrity with what being that bridge actually means. So, gosh, a part of me feels like I was all over the place in this reading. I want to just share something quickly. I'm going to share my screen. I have completed almost completely. It'll be ready this week. The journal, the astrological planner for 2024. This is the cover. I'm really proud of it. I love the way this calls forward the year of the wood dragon. I have a space on my website where you can download January 2024 right away, and you'll be on a list that will inform you as soon as it's available to purchase. I'm giving 2 different formats available this year. There's going to be a spiral bound, so it will open flat onto your desk. And there will also be a paperback like the version that we had this year. That's really, yeah, it's still really beautiful, but I wanted to give 2 options this year. And something that has changed this year also, in addition to the pages you'd normally see, instead of having the transits on the month ahead, I've actually created something called the vibe check. And you can kind of take a glance at the month ahead and see, oh, the 1st of January is going to be an emotional pressure day. So we can actually plan in advance. All right, there's going to be some emotional pressure that day. Now, pressure doesn't mean bad. Pressure can mean growth. Pressure can mean, coming toward climax even. But just know that the 3 energies I'm identifying are pressure, ease, and extra. And the kind of vibe that each day can hold is a soulful, mental, emotional, or physical day. So I feel like that will be a little bit easier to navigate, especially when you look at a week like this and you're like, okay, maybe I put my thinking cap on for Wednesday and I, etc. It's just a way to kind of see emotionally or energetically what the days can feel like rather than having those transits. But I still included the transits in case you want to know what those are. I've listed them instead of doing the symbols, so you can easily take a look at your own chart. You can look at your own apps and kind of see how this lands for you. And then there's even more. There's for every single day that there's a massive transit, I've actually channeled kind of the guidance for the day, the question that you can ask yourself for deeper personal inquiry. And then we still have the initiations, the space to plan your weeks, and the internal notes section. So you can download January right away by going to my website. I will leave a link in the description box of this video. And then you will also be informed as soon as you can purchase your 2024. So thank you for giving me the space to talk about that. I'm really, really excited about it. This year's is even better than last year's, and I really enjoyed this year's a lot. And I use it for pretty much everything. Terry Davis, Oh, there. All right, so now I'm going to stop the recording. We're going to open it up for a group conversation. Thank you all for showing up and watching this, and I'm looking forward to hearing more.